What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be discussing a big update for HighTide, ticker symbol HITI, for their Q2 financial earnings report. Now, as previously mentioned, in Q4 of 2020 and Q1 of 21, there have been extremely promising results. So let's have a look at today's earnings report that was released a few hours back to see if they're after being able to continue this great success over the last few months. So with all that being said, let's dive right on into today's video. So just in context, HighTide is one of 33 holdings in my overall portfolio, which is worth just under €10,000 at the moment and is up 19%. As it stands, we have just under 40 shares of HighTide and are currently trading at $8.19. Now the dot line here is my average price so far for those just under 40 shares, which is sitting at about $8.86. So I would like to drive that average cost down as much as I can. Now on the 1 week chart, it's up over 9%. And what I find funny enough, which we'll see in a few seconds, based off their earnings report, they're actually down 2.5%, which there's no logic there at all. Now again, in yesterday's video and prior videos on HighTide, I mentioned all of the catalysts and fundamentals for the stock, which will play a huge benefit going forward. So I really do feel long-term HighTide has huge potential, even at current prices. Now, again, there will always be kind of ups and downs, particularly in these kind of hype stocks or cannabis stocks, as the sector goes up and down in popularity. However, long term, if you buy the dip, in my own personal opinion, now this is not financial advice, but this is my plan, I'm going to continue to buy the dip for this stock going forward and see where it ends up. But in my opinion, it's going to look fairly well over the next year or so. Now, we saw in yesterday's video, an analyst has stated that they believe it's going to be about $16.50, which would be a 99% increase in 12 months' time. But again, that's all speculation. We'll just have to wait and see how it goes. Now, at a glance, looking at the Q2 earnings report, it looks extremely promising. Just following on from the Q4 and the Q1 in their last two reports, it looks just as good, if not better, which was what I was expecting to see, in all honesty, because everything HighTide has been doing over the last 12 to 18 months has been extremely valuable in my opinion, especially even the last quarter as well. We saw all the mergers and acquisitions, they're getting rid of some of their debt, kind of moving on and getting onto the NASDAQ, etc, etc. There's an obscene list of catalyst fundamentals that they have ticked the box with over the last few months, and that's definitely starting to reap the rewards in the earnings reports as well. We can see here that the financial results, 99% increase in revenue and an adjusted earnings before interest, tax, depreciation and adjustments of 4.7 million. Now let's look a bit deeper into this overall report. Now, as this is a YouTube video and it's kind of, I don't want to bore you to death too much, we won't look through every single detail of this report. But again, synopsis and summaries are very good to get a quick kind of synopsis of how the earnings report or financial results went. Now we can see even the top point here, as mentioned on the heading, its financial revenue increased 99% to 40.9 million as of April 9th or 30th, 2021, compared to 26 million of the quarter prior. Now that's worth noting as well that the acquisitions of Meta Growth and also Smoke Cartel as well are incorporated into these results. Now obviously, as the revenue increased, so has their gross profit and is looking extremely promising. It's up 93% since the quarter prior, up to 15 million in comparison to 7.8 million in the last quarter. Now, as mentioned in every video I discuss on HighTide, I always mention that it's very hard to find any kind of negative news or any negative business for this stock, which is really one of the main reasons why I like to invest within HighTide. They're very transparent in my opinion. Now again, as mentioned, a lot of people weren't happy with the 14 or 15 to 1 reverse split, but that was required to get on the NASDAQ. So again, I can see why they've had to complete that style of business. But again, these results speak for themselves. Everything here is looking extremely promising. The next 2 points very briefly. Now the gross profit is down 1% from 38% this quarter last year to 37%. So again, that's only 1%, but that's mainly due to their kind of aggressive mergers and acquisitions as well, and using a lot of their revenue to get into these companies, which is extremely important, as you can imagine. Now also their earnings before interest, tax, depreciation and adjustments is up to 4.7 million in comparison to 1.8 million in the last quarter. So again, fairly promising results. When initially finding this stock, one of the red flags I had was that they needed to expand outside Canada in order for this stock to grow. And again, that's probably quite apparent when you did some research on this stock. Now, they have definitely been trying to complete this, mainly by merging and acquiring US companies and expanding their brands. Now, again, this will definitely have a big impact in terms of their legislations in the US for cannabis or recreational use as well. So again, that will be one of the main catalysts going forward. Now, we've seen in prior videos that they've now been inducted onto the NASDAQ, and they're getting into a lot of the ETFs, the cannabis ETFs that is, within the NASDAQ as well, which is only going to be of extreme and beneficial importance for this stock going forward. But certainly the main catalyst going forward for all cannabis stocks, it's quite obvious, is that it needs the US legislation to be passed. So again, as of April 30th, 35 million of the revenue was earned within Canada. Now obviously that's still brilliant, but again, in order to expand, they need to tap into the US market even more, which they are continually trying to do. 5.7 million of this was in the US, so that is up from prior months or prior reports, and also 0.2 million or 200,000 was internationally, another market they really need to tap into. Again, if I was HighTide, and obviously I'm no financial advisor, but after tapping into the US markets, you would, in my opinion, start tapping into the likes of the European markets, because it definitely there's a lot of potential within those markets as well. So if we dive a little deeper, we can see segment-wise that they've earned 38.4 million generated by retail, 2.5 from wholesale, and a material amount by corporate. Now the bottom point is probably a bit more important and a bit more impressive in my opinion, and this is extremely important for mergers and acquisitions going forward, which will definitely be of importance to get to be the main Canadian cannabis stock and to push on. So we can see cash in hand as on 30th of April was 29.4 million in comparison to 7.5 million only a few months back in October 31st report. So again, that's huge numbers here, especially for these likes of this cannabis stock. In terms of operational results, again, they've been definitely very busy over the last few months. We can see here that all of the below highlighted factors definitely played into their overall results. So that's probably one of the main reasons why they're being successful at the moment. We can see, for example, here they acquired Smoke Cartel, which definitely enhanced their e-commerce business. They also got 23 million of debt converted, which is extremely important. If you just look down the line here, for example, they got a new CBD product for Grass City. They've also reported 0.8 million from the Cannabis Holiday 420. They've got a shelf prospectus of 100 million, and also they've opened 13 new stores over the last few months. Now that's just a very brief overview. As you can see here with all these bullet points, they've certainly been very busy in the business front over the last few months. And their business over the last few months certainly didn't stop there. We can see another full list of applications or business transactions that they completed over the last few months as well. For example, they now have 151,000 members in their Cabana Club, which is again a huge number of people, and it's only going to grow year on year in my opinion. They also got Fab Nutrition, which is a US based company. That's definitely one of the reasons what I was discussing earlier in terms of the geographical kind of expansion, that they need to tap into the US market, etc. And Fab Nutrition is a great way of doing that as well. There's also many other things here as well, such as joining ETFs such as the THCX ETF, etc., and getting rid of some secured debt debentures. So all in all, you can't fault HighTide at all in any aspect over the last few months, and the support definitely personifies that. In terms of my plans for HighTide going forward, as we can see here, we have just under 40 shares at the moment and are down about 5.9%. Now once the markets open today, it's obvious that the markets should be going up, especially at market open for this stock. So as it stands, I will be staying away for another week or two until the dust settles, so to speak, and it consolidates down. Now as a long-term investor in all of my 33 stocks here, I don't kind of need to rush into any stock at all. If anything, I'll just be loading up on cash ready to go for when it drops a bit more. I know it's down 5.89% now, but I do expect once the markets open, it will jump up a few percent, mainly based off them very impressive results. So I'll leave it another week or two, and if it drops down in value, well and good, because I can buy more at a cheaper average cost. If it goes up in value, again, that's no big deal either, because again, I'll be going closer to parity and back into the green. So certainly patience is going to be key, particularly in these kind of volatile stocks that can jump up and down 5 to 10% at any given time, and a lot of the time for no real apparent reason. But again, as I stated, after these quarter 2 results of 2021, again, it's only going to go up in value over the next few days in my opinion, but it probably will come back down and consolidate. So that's why I'm going to just leave my 40 shares or 39 shares be for now. I'll be very interested to know in the comment section below if you hold this stock and how many shares you hold, if you're in the green or the red, and if you're happy with these quarter 2 results for 2021. So that's the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your Tuesday, and I will see you all in tomorrow's video.